Good morning to the Halftime Podcast family. As always, peace, blessings, and prosperity to all of you that are a part of our community. First and foremost, we want to send prayers and our condolences to the family of Charlie Kirk. Obviously, everybody knows the news about his passing during this week. I guess we would have to formally say that it was an assassination, that he was murdered. But we want to just send prayers and condolences to the family as from the Halftime Podcast, and we hope that plenty members of our community, if they feel the same way, will also send prayers and condolences to the family of Charlie Kirk as well. Outside of that, Coach, how has your week been so far? Today is Saturday, September 13th. Normally, we're able to get in on a Friday, but it didn't work out this Friday, and that's okay because, as always, we will find a way to give you the best sports coverage on all digital platforms. So how was your week, Coach?
Yeah, the week was good. Got back into the swing of things as far as like the normal work week. I guess not really because I was sick like 2 of the days. I think it was like Tuesday and Wednesday. Just, I don't know. There's some type of bug going around, like some stomach bug, some type of definitely virus going around, but I'm all good now. Thanks be to God for that because I was going through it, man.
I believe you.
I could not stay away from the bathroom those 2 days. Ooh. So that's why I was not at work, but everything's good now. I'm happy to be here and happy to record episode 49.
So no more bee stings, but we got stomach flus, man. Yeah, you can't catch a break.
I can't. Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon it could be more normal.
All right. Well, yeah, my week has been interesting. I want to say to everybody that has a job out there, don't get hurt while you're on the job because it is such a how can I say it? It's such a disheartening process to go through it and dealing with people who don't really understand exactly what you may be experiencing, and having to go back and forth about your health is a crazy situation to be in. But nevertheless, I'm grateful that I'm here. Physical therapy has been going pretty good. And I'm just trying to get better, Coach, as we all are.
Yeah, you look better, man. Yeah. I can tell you're doing better, so that's good. That's good to hear.
All right, let's get into our show, Coach. Normally, we start off with the halftime give and go, and we also play our game, Who's Cooking and Who Should Stay Out the Kitchen. But today, we're going to just jump right into our halftime conversations because there has been some things that we feel like me and Coach can really dive into, and we wanted to give ourselves a little bit of time to kind of talk about those things and not rush through it. So first in the halftime conversations, let's talk about how Angel Reese of the Chicago Sky was suspended recently for a game. I think they tried to do half a game, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. But clearly, obviously, that didn't stop there. We know that the Chicago Sky did not make the playoffs yet again. And there is rumors now that the Chicago Sky are listening to offers for Angel Reese to be traded. Now, if we have to backtrack really quickly, we have to inform the audience that the reason why this came about is because Angel Reese called out the organization and said that they needed to do more to basically put things in position to be a more winning team. And she called out teammates and said that they needed to be a little bit better. Now, this is not something that is foreign to any professional star in any league, MLB, NBA, NFL. When you are the face of a franchise and you have a lot of pressure on you for why that team and that franchise isn't doing well, there's only so long of it where you can be like, I just need to play hard. I need to do better. For every human being, naturally, when you are trying to say the right things and do the right things, that's what you're going to say. But at some point you start to be like, well, you know what? I'm working hard. I'm doing everything that I can do. Naturally, you're going to get to that point where you're like, I'm doing everything that I can do. I'm working hard. I'm going out there. I'm getting double-doubles. I'm the youngest WNBA player to this many double-doubles in 2 seasons. And accolades, can go on and on and on. And we're still losing. So at some point, it can't just be me. Like I can't just be the sole reason that things aren't happening. We've seen Magic Johnson get his coach fired. We've seen Tom Brady go back and forth with Bill Belichick. We've seen Peyton Manning get into it with Tony Dungy. We've seen Eli Manning refuse to play for certain organizations because they were bad. It's just on it. We've seen Michael Jordan punch teammates and yell at his general manager for basically not doing the things that were favorable to Michael, getting rid of guys that he thought was good for the team and things like that. Ultimately, what I'm saying is what Angel Reese has done in voicing her concerns is not something that's foreign territory. And a lot of it has been made to make it seem like, well, who is she to even say anything, or who is she to say that the Sky needs to do better? But it's like, what is she supposed to say? I want to continue to lose. This is an athlete, and I don't even want to characterize it as female athlete. This is an athlete from high school to college, has been winning. She won in high school. She won a national championship at LSU in college. So she gets to the WNBA and she has a pedigree of wanting to win. She has a taste for it. She has a thirst for it. And if you can't really wrap your head around that, then it's like what Michael Jordan said in the Last Dance documentary. If you don't want to play like I played, then don't do it. And then like he said as well, like if you don't understand why I push guys like that, is because you've never won anything in life. It's barely that simple. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't understand why people have such high demands, or why people are pushing you to a certain level, or why somebody will be frustrated with the failures or losing, then it means that you just don't have the type of personality or the type of desire to want to be a winner. And so you're the type of person that's going to see fault and error and people calling things out when situations need to be better. So I'm going to pass it to you, Coach, and just kind of see, what are your thoughts on the whole idea of the Sky first suspending her for half a game as if that meant anything? And then secondly, now supposedly there are calls being fielded for a potential trade.
Yeah. I think the whole suspension for half a game is just stupid. Like, I get it. You have to discipline, I guess, that type of talk because it doesn't look good for your organization. But at the same time, like, what is suspending her for half a game do? And keep in mind, since that suspension, she hasn't played because she's been back. She's been out with injury. Yeah. And now we're gonna go into this last towards the last couple of games of the season here, or I think it's the last game's coming up soon. And she's not gonna play. And no. I think that leaves a very bad taste in the mouth of Angel Reese and her agent. I would not be surprised if they themselves came out and asked for a trade for how the Chicago Sky just mishandled this whole situation. Yes. I would be very upset if I was in her shoes. Granted, this is why we don't see athletes come out as often and kind of speak directly about the organization in such a way, because there are consequences to those things, especially in these bigger sports organizations. But she was telling the truth. Like, I don't think anybody could deny she was telling the truth. Like you said, she's got a winning pedigree. Like, this girl has balled out on every single level of basketball she has played at, and there should be no question. There should be no hesitancy to really see why she said those type of things. She wants to win. Yeah. Like, that's something you want out of your athlete in any team you're coaching and running. So, I did see the GM of the Sky come out and say that, she's still going to be a part of the roster for unless I'm told otherwise, is what he said. That they don't, they actually don't have plans to trade her, which it would be stupid of them to trade her, because I think she has the utmost potential, and she's already starting to kind of tap into some of that in some of her aspects of her game. But at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Angel Reese's party asking for the trade and demanding the trade. We've seen that she is not one to be scared to sit out. Like, she is with the whole lockout everything. The whole lockout thing that the WNBA players are trying to push. So she don't care. She makes more money from her endorsement deals than she does playing basketball. So I'm sure it would not hurt her if it would put her in a better situation. So I mean, kudos to her, to be honest, to have the cojones to come out and say that type of stuff in front of the media. Of course, you don't like to see that necessarily if you're the organization, but there were no lies told. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I think for me it's troubling the way the Chicago Sky has even handled the situation. Like suspending her for just voicing the fact that she doesn't want to lose anymore is insane. I mean, like, are you as an organization so sensitive to the fact that you have not been putting together a winning product that somebody saying something about it has to be so damning to you that you have to basically punish them? It makes no sense.
You
Like,
know, maybe it's not just the Chicago Sky. Maybe it's just Chicago sports organizations because we saw
just the way that they are.
We saw a similar thing with Zach LaVine when he was starting to give fuss about, man, I just want to win basketball games.
Yeah.
And where did he end up? He got traded.
Traded. So I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe it is a Chicago sports ownership thing where it's like you just go out there and play and shut up. You know what I mean? Like you go out there, be quiet. You do what you're paid to do. You let us figure out how to put together a winning team. You just go out there and perform, and it's like, yeah, I get it, right? You're paying me to go out there and be an athlete. You're paying me to go out there and perform. You're paying me to go out there and play. But at the same time, I'm also the person that gets booed. I'm also the person that people talk about in the media. I'm also the person that people go out and say it's because of that person that the Chicago Sky isn't doing well. And I have to sit here, or as an athlete of any Chicago team, I have to sit here and go, do y'all not see what I'm working with?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say that, right? Because I don't want to put anybody down. Like, I really don't want to go out there and basically say, like, my teammates aren't the best.
Right, yeah.
But a person can only take so much, on every single level. A person can only take so much. So after you finally reach your threshold of being politically correct, reaching your threshold of saying the right things, of doing your media training the right way, and all of that stuff, it gets to a point where you just like, yo, I know y'all see this person that can't shoot one open shot every game. I know y'all see this person that can't get down the court. I know y'all see this person that's getting beat off the dribble every single time somebody takes their first step. I know y'all see this.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all what am I supposed to do? Defend everybody?
Right.
I got to score every single point? Like, even Jordan couldn't do this, and he's the GOAT. Even he needed Scottie Pippen. Whether people want to accept it or not,
no,
you need somebody.
Yeah, you need somebody.
You need somebody. You cannot do it all by yourself.
And granted, it does
in life.
It does seem like the Sky are trying to give her more weapons, more teammates to work with.
I don't know.
It's not enough.
They let go Kennedy Carter.
That's what I'm saying. Like
they let go Kalia Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
I mean Copper. Sorry, Kalia Copper. Like, half of the championship team that Candace Parker had, they let all of those players go by the time Angel Reese was put into the Chicago Sky organization. Like, you couldn't keep any of those players?
No.
You couldn't. I mean, last season with Kennedy Carter, I don't understand how they let her go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you had somewhat of momentum going. Then you fired your head coach in Therese Witherspoon after one season. Like, there's so much dysfunction that has been occurring.
That's the word I was going to say.
Yeah, it's so much dysfunction that has been occurring that is almost insane for you as an organization to believe that she wouldn't have a gripe with you all about how you've been doing things. Like, what is the vision?
Mm-hmm. Because it's definitely not clear at this point.
What is the vision?
And when the vision is not clear, that's when tensions start to arise. That's when the water is boiling at a higher temperature.
And the coach from last season, she was actually a high profile pickup. Like, it was a big thing for her to be hired as the head coach. This new guy, I don't know where they got him from. Disrespect to him at all. You know what I mean? Yeah. Respectfully, but I don't know where they got him from. And clearly it hasn't made any difference between last season and this season. So it just confuses me. And it confuses her, obviously. Like, what direction are we going as a franchise? Like, do you guys care about winning? Or am I just here to sell tickets for you guys? Is my brand of being Angel Reese just something that you guys are utilizing to put the few fans that you are getting in the seats, right? Is that what this is about? Because if that's the case, then let me know so I can make a justified decision in how I want to move forward with my career. Whether that's to stay with you guys and just help you sell tickets and be cool with that and do my thing on the side, or like you said, actually demand and trade and say, this is not what I want for my WNBA career. Because don't get it twisted. She has endorsements now, and that's due to the things that she did at LSU. All of those things can go away if she doesn't start to turn the corner in the WNBA.
Yeah, that's very
Those
true.
endorsements can go away very quickly if you are not still doing the things that got you those endorsements in the first place. So she was a winning player. She was a Southern darling from the East Coast of Baltimore. And she was winning. She won a championship. She was always on the Final Four and Elite Eight and all of those different things in college women's basketball. Now you get to the WNBA and we don't even see you in the playoffs. After a while, if that continues to be the trend, why as a company am I investing in the Angel Reese stock? It's not a stock that's winning.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, say what you want about Caitlin Clark or how people may feel about her. Whether or not you could say she's the ultimate reason Indiana is, at least making the playoffs now, she's part of the process. She's part of that. They turned the corner, and now they're in the playoffs this season. Now, she won't be playing in the playoffs because she's hurt, but she's a part of moving that thing forward. And because of that, there is still a reason to hold into the Caitlin Clark stock, outside of the fact that she's a phenomenal player.
Right,
but
yeah.
There's more reasons to hold into her stock, and it's because of the fact that she is contributing to winning. Now, you can argue and say maybe she has better pieces around her than Angel Reese does, but that could be the reason why Angel Reese is saying what she's saying.
Exactly. It's like, look what they're giving her. Can I get some of that?
Can I get a little bit of that?
Yeah.
Can I get a little bit of something? And I said this from the beginning when we were talking about the Chicago Sky from the jump, when we first were talking about the WNBA and getting around to things, and I was saying that my biggest concern about them was their guard play. Mm-hmm. I had said that from the jump that I don't trust their guard play since they let Kennedy Carter go. I don't think they have enough in the backcourt, and I don't know who's coming out this year for the WNBA in the draft, but I don't know if there's any major guards. I'm still under the belief that the Chicago Sky need to do what they can to position themselves for Juju. Mm-hmm. That is what I am hanging on to, and I hope that maybe she can have a conversation with the front office and maybe they can tell her, like, hey, Angel, just hang tight. We're not trying to say that we're trying to be bad, but we're trying to position ourselves to get somebody of that caliber. Just hang tight. And if that's the case, then I think the agent and the organization, needs to have that conversation about what is the business plan for the Chicago Sky going forward to turn things around. Because we have to remind ourselves as fans, although we think we're watching sports and things like that, these are sports businesses that have to think about a lot of things in real time. So we'll see what comes of the Angel Reese situation with the Chicago Sky, but hopefully she stays in Chicago and doesn't get traded. But if it happens, I've lost Zach LaVine. I've lost a few players that I've just felt like were given a raw deal, Justin Fields and things like that. So if it happens to Angel, it seems like par for the course for Chicago sports.
Yeah, speaking of Justin Fields getting moved on from and pivoting to another Chicago team, let's talk about these Bears and their Week 1 game against the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football. My quick thoughts.
You want to go first?
I'll go first. I'll go first.
Let me buckle in first.
Yeah, I mean, in the first half, I would argue, you saw very encouraging things, I think, from both sides of the ball. The team looked very disciplined, although there was a lot of pre-snap penalties throughout the entirety of the game, which I made it known throughout training camp and throughout preseason. That was my number one concern coming into Week 1. We need to limit the pre-snap penalties, and that was still a very big issue, and one could argue a very big reason why the game was lost, because we were constantly getting positive plays and then setting ourselves right back to a second and longer, third and long, because we keep going too fast before we snap the ball. Defense in its entirety, I thought they played a phenomenal game. Of course, towards the end, I think the whole team just lost steam.
Really? You thought okay?
I think the defense just lost steam towards the end because there was a lot of just discouragement from what we were seeing from the offense. I thought I thought
Okay.
when Cairo Santos missed that 50-yard field goal in the fourth quarter that would have put us up by 14, I think that was a very big momentum swing in the other direction. I thought that's where everything started to crumble, and unfortunately, that's something we saw from the Bears last season. Is when once one thing starts to go wrong, then all the other cards start to fall, and that's something we need to limit, especially going into week 2. But the defense throughout that whole first half, J.J. McCarthy couldn't do anything. I mean, he was for the whole game, he was almost under 100 yards until they started to make that comeback, that rally towards the end when the defense finally just kind of caved in. But Nashawn Wright had that insane pick six. We're getting to the quarterback, which was encouraging to see.
A little bit.
I mean, multiple sacks on the day, So I thought Dio played a great game. He was putting on pressure, and very encouraging thing to see. Granted, it was against a backup left tackle, so let's see what he could do in week 2 versus Detroit. Now, let me.
I like Javon Dexter though.
Yeah, he looked great. He looked really great. Now let me get to the offense. Of course, that's the big thing everybody wants to talk about with this Bears team, and rightfully so. You bring in the guy Ben Johnson. He's the offensive mastermind. He's supposed to be the culture changer. You've got all these weapons on offense now. You drafted a tight end in your top 10 pick.
Who we did not see a lot of.
No, he had 2 targets for 12 yards. You drafted a guy in Luther Burden that maybe saw the field twice, and one of them was on a kickoff. You drafted a guy in Ozzie Trapillo that didn't see the field at all. Instead, they had Theo Benedette as their swing tackle, kind of coming in on some of those bigger packages when they were running some motion with him. Caleb looked exactly how I wanted him to look in the first half. He didn't make some of the throws I expected him to make. I think he missed some bigger plays that were there. Specifically, that post route to Rome, it easily could have been 6. There was a corner strike on the right side of the field that I think he also missed. But the guy was accurate. When his feet were there and his eyes weren't moving faster than his body, he was making the throws on time and making the right decisions. Now, we go to the second half. This is where my whole concern started to come in, because I'm like, you guys need to put some points on the board and seal this game. Like, put the nail in the coffin, because I just saw, like, it was 17-6 for a while. We couldn't score any points. I'm like, we need to score a goddamn touchdown to put this thing away. Like, you let Minnesota hang around, KOC's going to make some magic happen, and that's exactly what happened. So, There was a lot of, I think, encouraging things, but a lot of red flags as well, big red flags. I didn't like the run game. I thought the run game was very subpar to what I thought it was going to be coming into this week.
Okay.
Now, I think it is very important to note when we're talking about how the offense performed is that Minnesota's defense, I think, played a tremendous game. I think the way they were able to cause pressure and cause havoc, not let the Bears establish a run game, it was a very big factor on how that second half played out. I think some of the adjustments that Brian Flores made in the second half were a very big reason why the outcome was what it was. Like, in the first half, it was honestly very surprising. We didn't see a Brian Flores blitz at all. He blitzed maybe 2 or 3 times that whole first half, and we know that's not him. Second half, he brought pressure. That's when things started to crumble for that O-line and for everything else in the offensive operation. And Minnesota won that ball game. Minnesota won that ball game convincingly towards the end. And I do think it was a lot of self-inflicted mistakes. I think it was a lot of Caleb not being able to deliver the ball on time and where it needed to be at certain moments. And that was all throughout the second half. Like I said previously, like, I believe when his eyes were starting to move faster than his feet and his body, that's when he became inaccurate. And I think that was the whole thing with Caleb last year. He needs to get his feet planted. He needs to make sure he's got the proper leverage when making his throws, and he did not have that. And we saw some big plays that were missed. We saw some terrible overthrows. We saw some, again, very inaccurate balls that were being thrown, and it is concerning. It's alarming, but I'm still okay with how the game went. I think the stat line, and if you were to look at the game in its entirety, you cannot be so very concerned with how Caleb and the offense played, because granted, we're in week 1. of this brand new offense, and they were able to put points on the board in their opening drive, right? Granted, it's scripted, right? You kind of plan out your first 12 plays. But then being able to drive down the field, score on the opening drive, and then being able to put on some more points after that, like, there was good things being shown from Caleb, from the offensive line being able to give him time in the pocket, to everything. We just need to see that happen for all 4 quarters now. And we'll get into it in the halftime predictions. I'm not going to jump the gun on that. But what was your thoughts on this Monday Night Football game in Chicago?
All right, Coach. All right, let's start with the defense first.
Yeah.
The defensive line interior was more impressive than our edge, in my opinion. So our interior on the defensive line is pretty solid to me, with Grady Jarrett and Javon Dexter kind of doing their thing. I like how they played, in the middle and kind of kept things tight and secured there. Montez Sweat, I don't know why we're paying him the money that we're paying, because he doesn't show up on the stat sheet too much enough for me for what we need. We need that type of pressure coming from the edge. And if it ain't coming from the left side, it got to come from the right side. And Dio, like you said, was going against a backup left tackle, so he looked a little bit more impressive, but it wasn't to the level in which I felt like he can be a dominating force.
Sure, yeah.
And that still concerns me as we start to play teams who have better offensive lines. I think we have the type of defensive line where if we're playing against an average offensive line, our defensive line can look really good. But if we're playing against a top-tier offensive line, we won't get too much pressure going on, and that bothers me. I can't really put too much on the secondary because we are still missing Jalen Johnson. Kyler Gordon didn't play.
Hey, Jalen Johnson's coming back this week, so that's encouraging.
Yeah, Jalen Johnson is coming back. Kyler Gordon didn't play. So we're still missing pieces from our secondary. So as far as the passing defense is concerned, rather, I think they kind of did fairly well with what was out there. And for the time period that existed up until I think the defense started to get a little exhausted, and maybe the fact that they were a little bit, like you said, disappointed and let down from the fact that they just constantly were out there doing their best and the offense really couldn't get anything going after the first half was pretty much completed. And so I think, like you said, just a little bit of your morale can kind of kick in, right? Again, a good thread for this show today is human nature and how human attributes play into things. And while you think you're watching professional sports and you're watching professional athletes and you're expecting a certain level of, well, they're supposed to just do this because that's their job, it's like, yeah, but they're also humans, right? And they have emotions and they have feelings. So I think that's a common thread for this show today, is just human nature always will eventually trump what your expectations are for how you look at people in a professional setting and what you think they're supposed to do and execute, because we are not robots. With that said, the defense did as much as they could with everything that they had going on, and I applaud them for their efforts up until the point where it just feels like they kind of just caved in and kind of started to give Minnesota any and everything that they wanted.
Yeah.
Offensively, our offensive line definitely looks a little bit better than what it was last season, but they still need to work on their chemistry.
Yeah,
their communication amongst the front is not fully there. A lot of them don't know how to cover for each other when the defensive line on the opposite side is doing stunts. So they don't know how to communicate and say, okay, in real time, how to release a guy and move on to another guy and let the guard pick up a guy that's trying to come in from the outside. Like, they haven't learned how to just be on a string just yet. And so I have to give them time to create that chemistry. Training camp doesn't create it right away, but I will say I'm gonna give them until week 6, week 7. They need to have that together.
I think by the bye, and I think we have a week 5 or week 6.
Yeah,
bye,
I mean, I guess if you wanted to be like, all right, figure this out, I would say by the bye. But I'm trying to give them a little bit of time because really the only two guys that are cohesive in this is just the two guys on the end, and that's Darnell Wright and Braxton Jones. Everybody else is new pieces, from Dahlman to Jackson to Thuney. They're all new. So essentially, this is a whole new 5-man offensive line, and they got to figure that out. So there were some things that I liked, especially in the beginning, but as the game kept going, I started to see how their lack of chemistry will cause concerns in a lot of games where the defensive line is able to use stunts and move guys around, and then them being able to also pick up blitzes. I don't think Ben Johnson utilized our tight ends the best that they could be, which was a little bit alarming to me. Why have these two tight ends if you're not going to let them go out there and be gazelles for you? And then also having them in the pass coverage, right? If you're going to use your tight ends and you know your offensive line needs help, then bring your tight ends in and then throw in that third wide receiver. Bring one tight end in just to help block, and then bring in Luther Burden to be another receiver out there for you, so that way you got DJ Rome and Luther, and you can even still use your running back and your tight end to try to help chip, and maybe you keep your tight end to help block and let your running back chip, and then they can be your check down option when you have Caleb back there in a passing situation. So I think a lot of that wasn't utilized. The run game was abysmal. But it also wasn't utilized from Ben Johnson enough to me. I don't think he called a lot.
He didn't run
I don't think he called a lot of run plays. It wasn't something that he was doing, and I think this is more so because the Bears are at home, and we're here to see Caleb. I know we talked about last season, and I kept harping about that one game where he threw over 40-some, 50-some passes.
We didn't draft him to hand the ball off.
Yeah, and I was saying, like, we really didn't draft this kid to hand the ball off. And I mean, like, as much as people may not really agree with that because they understand basic football, right? When you are trying to set up play action, when you're trying to establish a tone for the game, when you want your offensive line to establish some form of aggressiveness, you want to be able to run the football because it sets a tone from the offensive line on the opposing defensive line that we're here, we're going to put you on your ass, you know what I'm saying? We're going to manage the trenches, we're going to control this. And then as you're able to establish that run, then you can use that run to make the linebackers and the secondary have to react to handoffs or fake handoffs and things like that. So now you can open up windows for the passing game to be there for you off of that play action. And it gives you a little bit more time to work with.
Yeah, like I think there was a lot of play action ran when there wasn't any success in the run game.
Yeah, it was just a play action being called, and it's just like they're not going to bite on this. You know what I'm saying? If anything, they're just going to blitz it and keep coming, which is what Brian Flores started to do.
That's what he did in that second half.
Yeah,
man.
He just started to be like, oh, the run game isn't going anything, so anytime they try to fake this, boom, we're just keep going. Stay downhill, and you'll get to the quarterback. Now, let's move on to Caleb. And here's my thing with Caleb. I'm going to try not to be too hard on him because I know that's a sensitive subject up here at the Halftime Podcast and really across the Bears community, because after this first week, I've actually never seen so much disappointment in Caleb like I saw after that game. Like, in prior times, there's always been this hesitancy, in my opinion, to say too much about Caleb, to kind of give him that little bit of leeway. But after that week one in the Bears community, people were kind of like, yo, what is this? But
I feel like just all around, even fans of Caleb like myself, it's like,
yo, what is this?
Yeah.
So what I was going to say about Caleb. So as we all know, and maybe we all don't know, but the first about 12 to 15 plays of every NFL game, for the most part, is already scripted. Like, they've already created like a script for how they want to run the first 1 to 15 plays of an NFL game on the offense. He looked phenomenal in the scripted version of what we're trying to do. So basically, the plays that we have been running throughout the course of the week, practicing to try to start the game off the right way, he was superb in it. He was phenomenal in it. But when we got out of that script and we had to just start playing football, which is what analysts love to say. All right, now we've starting to play football. Now we're getting to where we're just playing football now, right? And he had to play off the script. get calls in and understand what it was supposed to be. Get guys in and out the huddle and make sure guys know what to do. Read the defense and potentially go into audibles or readjust the play and be on time with his passes. It started to get a very, very murky.
Mm-hmm.
He started to have troubles with getting calls in. He started to have trouble with knowing where guys were supposed to be. His footwork started to get sloppy. His timing started to get bad. His accuracy started to get bad. Now, I don't care what anybody say. I've been saying since last year, and I'm still saying it this year, his D-ball accuracy is troublesome. That is problematic, whether he's on time or not. His D-ball accuracy is something that I don't know if he can fix, and I don't really know what the problem is because he technically has the arm strength. So it's not arm strength and arm power. It's just that he has no touch on that deep ball. Because that's where we had opportunities to kind of blow the game open. From Rome to DJ Moore going down the seam on a corner fade. He missed that one.
You know, let's talk about that play. Because
well, let's go back to it. Let me just fine.
Yeah, just real quick.
Go ahead.
Route that DJ Moore ran was supposed to just be a corner.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Moore improvised and then started to curl it out and just went to the end zone. Fine, granted.
It was supposed to be a post corner? Like a sharp post?
It was just going to be a corner route where he ends up on the sideline and he doesn't go all the way to the end zone.
No, he faded it towards the end zone.
Yes. So one thing about Ben Johnson's offense, what we saw in Detroit and what we heard from Detroit, he doesn't like improv from his wide receivers. Run the damn route how it's supposed to be ran.
Got it.
DJ Moore improv, and Caleb, I think, was throwing with anticipation that DJ is going to finish out that corner route, and then as he's starting to throw that ball, DJ starts to fade towards the end zone, which made Caleb adjust at the very last second.
Was it supposed to be a corner out, or was it a corner fade?
No,
like a corner post?
Corner out.
So a corner out.
A corner out where you take your first couple steps in, and you go vertical, and then you go out.
So basically a 90. He was supposed to hit a 90. Okay, that's what I'm trying to get. Okay.
And the staff has come out and said that's the route that was supposed to be ran.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm gonna say about that. I understand that Ben Johnson it seems like Ben Johnson has, as creative as he is, his creativeness isn't on the fly. His creativeness is in preparation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that may be the Achilles heel to Ben Johnson and what makes the difference between Kevin O'Connell and him. O'Connell seems to be the type of guy that is creative both in preparation and in real time. And I think DJ, I think DJ saw something. I think he saw an opportunity. Clearly he did because he was wide open.
Right, yeah.
And had Caleb hit him, it would have been a touchdown. So to hear the Bears come out and say like, oh, DJ ran the wrong route and things like that, what it tells me is Ben Johnson is the type of person where his creativeness is not, or improvisation is not appreciated because he lacks the ability to do those things on the fly. And so if I lack that, I kind of want everybody to kind of follow my model and follow my personality. And I need everybody to just kind of do what I've already structured, because in my mind, I've already created what I needed to create to open up the game for everybody else.
Right.
And I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yeah, because you know what I mean? Like, we saw what he did in Detroit.
And I'm not disagreeing with that, but it's kind of similar to how, like, when we coach basketball and we coach our players, when we tell them, okay, here's the play that we've created and we've designed it to do this, but if you see an opportunity to kind of break the play because there's an opportunity to take this, then do that.
Right, and I think that's where quarterback and wide receiver chemistry comes into play.
Of course, absolutely.
And I don't think they have enough of that because we didn't see enough of a connection from them last year.
Yeah,
I think it's a little bit better this year, but it's not at the level. There. It's not at the level at like we would think it would be, like a Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I'm
gonna keep it honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised if we see DJ Moore getting traded sometime this season.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
And honestly, if I'm him, I would just go to the Jets and go link up with Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields all over again. If I was him, and make that magic happen there. But stand on the Bears.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams is showing me that what people had concerns about Justin Fields about, oh, he can't play in the pocket, all that, he can't play in the pocket, he has to play outside of the pocket. Caleb is showing those same signs.
Okay.
He's showing those same signs outside of the script. Now, I beg to differ about Justin being able to play in the pocket because he did a good job against the Steelers. They still lost that game, but he was looking really good. And we'll get to that later when we talk about week one and how those games went. But it seems like Caleb does really well in the pocket when it's scripted, but once it gets out of that, he gets happy feet very fast.
Yeah, that's what I noticed.
And he wants to get out of the pocket very fast, very quickly. And it's not necessarily to scramble, which is what people complain about Justin about, that once he got out of the pocket, he turned into a running back. Caleb still looks to pass, but it seems like he sees the field more outside of that pocket. And while, yeah, it creates for good highlights and things like that to be on NFL and ESPN, it doesn't bode well, once again, for professional level NFL play, because you can't always just scramble like that and think something good is going to come out of it. A lot of times you just open yourself up to getting lit up. Luckily for him, it didn't happen, but it can. And it's not a productive offense. You can't just play backyard football, which is something that we've been doing, or which is something that I've said Caleb was used to in playing at USC. So to sum it up for me, I'm not blaming any one person. I'm not going to sit here and be like, Caleb is the reason we lost because blah, blah, blah. It's week one, so I'm not really going to blow it out of proportion. But the concerns that I've had about Caleb and the concerns that I still have about Caleb are showing itself in real time yet again. And I wonder if this is a season where the soft love and the gentle parenting for Caleb Williams starts to go away and people start to be like, all right, you got to shape up or you got to get out.
Yeah.
And we had conversations off the pod, like off the record, about how long we think Ben Johnson will hold this up if Caleb doesn't perform. And you said by the bye week, if Caleb isn't showing signs, then Ben Johnson will have to make a decision. And this is why I was saying, like, I wanted to see Tyson Bagent in the preseason with the starters, but I get why it didn't happen, because you don't want to come into the season with those type of problems. Because had Tyson Bagent did look good with the starters, and then we get what we got from Caleb in week one, then Carm and what he said and what I said last time starts to look even more.
Of course, yeah.
Starts to blow up even more. But we'll see. Bears play this week again against the Detroit Lions, and we will see how they look. But let's continue to move on, Coach.
Let's get to another hot commodity in Chicago.
And we don't have to spend too long with this, but I want to talk about this because I'm not happy with the deal, but I'm also not mad at it. So Josh Giddey for the Chicago Bulls gets paid. He gets his 4-year, $100 million deal with the Chicago Bulls, so that puts him at $25 million per. We know that the rumors were that he was trying to get $30 million, so thank God that the Bulls did not concede to that. And then it was rumored that the Bulls were trying to stick him to around $20 million. Now, at the time, I said that would be the perfect contract, sticking him around 20, because that's what I think he deserves. But I had to reevaluate that, because if Patrick Williams is getting paid between $18 million and on his last season, I think he's getting like 20 to 21, it's kind of like disrespectful.
Yeah, it would be.
To pay Giddey around the same mark that P. Will is getting paid. It's very disrespectful. So I understand you have to boost it up to being a little bit more respectable to the fact that you have to separate, at least to some capacity, what Josh Giddey brings to the table in comparison to what Patrick Williams is bringing to the table currently. So 4 years, $100 million to keep Josh Giddey in the building, to keep him with the team. He gets $25 million a year. I think that is I won't say a great value deal, but it's a value deal. It's also something that could be useful and lucrative for a potential trade for something greater down the line. If you see an opportunity to strike on somebody like a Giannis or somebody like that that's starting to feel a little bit disgruntled with their organization and they want to move on to greener pastures, it's a contract that you have in Giddey and a player and a value that you have in Giddey that can be used and packaged and not make another NBA franchise feel like they're overpaying or feeling like it's going to make them go into the second apron and all that other stuff. So it works for a various amount of reasons. But what do you think of Giddey getting paid his 4-year, $100 million deal from the Chicago Bulls, Coach?
Yeah, I think if you were to bring back Giddey, like this is the deal that the absolute max that we should have paid him.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we didn't go $1 more. I'm glad that they did play hardball with him throughout the entirety of the offseason.
Yeah.
And I'm glad this is the point that we've come to, and this is the contract he's going to be making. Because, of course, right now, where we stand, I think the $25 million doesn't look great coming into his first year of the deal. But I do believe going into year 2 and year 3 of the deal, and hopefully he's a more improved player at that point. And, maybe the Chicago Bulls are playing better basketball at that point. I think the $25 million contract will look better, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's going to be putting up better performances more consistently. And it'll be like, damn, like they actually got a good deal on this guy. And like you said, I think that would definitely bring topic of conversation at some point to possibly move him, if that's an avenue they decide to take, or even if you keep him. It's like, damn, like we signed him at a good time. Like I think that's always the concern when talking about extensions in sports. It's like, yeah, maybe for the first 2 years the contract might not look the greatest, but I think it's more of like a projection of where you think this player can end up being.
Where the cap is going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like with the cap expanding every single year, the insane inflation on the cap every year, I think this contract is going to look good by year 3, and I think it's great, to keep Giddey around, at least, see what he could do with Kobe for the entirety of the season. Granted, they were together last year, but we know Giddey was just coming into the Bulls organization, so he had to kind of get his feet wet and see what he can do, what he can't do. Levine was still on the roster at that point, so had to find to get him touches as well. But we're essentially bringing back the same roster as last year. Let's see what they could do, right?
Yeah.
Are they going to continue that hot run they had towards the latter half of the season, or is it going to be a typical Chicago Bulls regular season where we start porous and then around the All-Star break, Kobe White becomes an All-Star, but it's too late to vote him on the team. So that's my thoughts. I don't know. I hope it ends up playing out. Like, I do like his play style. I do like having a bigger point guard. I'm all for that, and I think he definitely complements Kobe White's game a lot. I think he complements Modest's game a lot. So he's a great glue. He's a good glue guy. He's a good glue guy.
Yeah, he's a great complimentary guard.
But that's why I'm glad we didn't pay him the $30 million, because you don't pay a glue guy $30 million because we saw how Denver screwed themselves with that one, with paying Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. They were paying glue guys.
Yeah, and now but the difference is Michael Porter Jr. has the ability to be a star.
Right, but they weren't using him as a star player. You know what I mean?
They have their star players.
I think he's going to be a star.
I think in Brooklyn,
they were trying to make him a glue guy, and that's just not who he is.
I think Michael Porter Jr. is going to turn into the exact guy everybody projected him to be in Brooklyn, and the player that I wanted the Bulls to draft, but instead, again, we drafted Wendell Carter Jr. But I want to say this, and it pains me to have to do this because they don't really deserve it, but I guess I have to give a slight applause to Arturas Karnisovas and Mark Eversley for, finally doing something kind of right.
This is a solid contract.
Yeah, they're. It seems like if Arturas had really no idea how to be the president of basketball operations, and he was just hired because he was cheaper than Sam Presti, which is what came out to be, is that Sam Presti was somebody that wanted to come to the Bulls, but his price tag was too high, and so the Bulls settled on Arturas Karnisovas. It seems like as though he's learning on the fly, and it seems like, at least in this point, he's learned from his mistakes, and he's getting better on the job as he goes.
Absolutely.
So we'll see how that continues to go, and hopefully this season for the Bulls will be much better than it was last year. All right, Coach, let's move into this NFL Week 1. Let's just kind of talk about the games and how the score is winning. If we can keep that graphic up just for a little bit, just so we can just kind of go through them a little bit. So we had Tampa Bay and the Falcons. Tampa Bay ended up winning that game. I wasn't necessarily shocked by that, but it was closer than I anticipated.
Emeka Egbuka looked like a star, man. The rookie wideout, he looked great. 2 touchdowns, and in very big moments as well.
Now, the game that I was a little bit shocked by was the Bengals and Cleveland. I thought Bengals were going to put belt to ass, but of course they didn't, and they walked away with a very slim win, which either makes me feel like Cincinnati is not going to be as good as I thought, or Cleveland may be better than I thought, but we'll find out as the season continues to go. Is there anything shocking to you for that game?
Yeah, I mean, of course, the score is definitely a shocking one, and Cleveland staying in that game, but no doubt about it, Cincinnati's going to be on the run very soon. They're going to start putting up points.
Okay.
This next game is the one that shocked me.
Yeah, Indianapolis putting up 33 points is not what I expected, and Miami being this abysmal is crazy. I don't know if the head coach is going to get fired, but definitely they have to start considering breaking things up. Tua cannot be the quarterback for the future going forward. Tyreek Hill may need to figure out what's going on in his life, and may need to decide to figure out if he's going to continue to play football. But the Indianapolis Colts put belt to ass on the Miami Dolphins, and Daniel Jones didn't look too bad. I guess Indianapolis didn't make a bad decision by deciding to go with Daniel over Anthony Richardson. Any more thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do think Mike McDaniel will definitely be making his way out of the door soon, at least into an offensive coordinating position somewhere. And yeah, Miami's a soft team. They were complaining about the Bears hitting in training camp. Well, this is what you get. You get belt to ass by a subpar Indianapolis Colts team. So.
Yeah. Then we move on. The Raiders won. Jacksonville beat the Panthers. Not surprised by that. Bryce Young did not look too good, but we're going to find out if he's another Tua. It looks like he's in a situation where you might have to start reconsidering whether or not he can be your franchise quarterback. Arizona walked away with a win against the Saints. A really good game between the Jets and Steelers. That came down to the wire. Justin Fields looked really good with the Jets. I was impressed. Aaron Rodgers looked really good with the Pittsburgh Steelers. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. That offensive line needs work. He may need to learn how to get back to those old Aaron Rodgers days of getting out of that pocket and scrambling a little bit. But both of those teams look really solid. The Pittsburgh Steelers look like they're still going to be Pittsburgh. You're going to have to beat them. They're not going to beat themselves. And the New York Jets look like they're going to be much more competitive than they have been in the last few seasons. New York still looks like the Miami Dolphins. They're going to be a problem. Russell Wilson did not look too hot. And Washington, they didn't look as explosive on offense, but they got the job done. Now, they recently played
Green Bay.
Green Bay, kind of spanked that ass a little bit. But Washington has some things that they need to clean up. They lost Austin Eckler for the season. Their offense,
which I think is a huge
blow. They still need to figure out their connections from the wide receiver front, but I think they'll turn things around and figure out. Green Bay, though, is looking like a team that is going to be a problem in this division. They look serious. Tennessee and Denver, who kind of cares? Cam Ward didn't do as well, but we're going to find out what kind of player Cam Ward is going to be throughout the course of the season.
I'll tell you what, I watched that game, and I will tell you, I think Cam Ward played a better game than Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix looked very bad. And I think Cam Ward made the right throws at the right time, but had wide receivers dropping balls and couldn't get any pass protection. So I think he's going to be scary. And I also think Bo Nix is going to have a very underwhelming sophomore season.
Yeah, I believe that. He's going to hit the sophomore slump. Let's talk about, San Francisco, they won their game. Green Bay. Detroit looks like their offense is obviously not the same without Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
That's number one.
And missing a lot of their guys on the front.
And they're missing a lot of their guys on the front. Defensive side of the ball didn't look as hot either, but again, we might have to start saying they play Green Bay, and that might be the statement throughout the course of the season.
Especially after week 2, man. Yeah, Green Bay is looking like a legit team.
They're looking, and Jordan Love is looking really good.
And this isn't to discredit them from their past couple of seasons, but there's something special about this Green Bay team this year.
Yeah, especially about the way that they look. And then the game of the week to me, Buffalo Bills and Baltimore. That game was exactly what you wanted it to be. Up and down, fiery offenses, defenses trying to do their best. Yeah. And it wasn't like the defenses on either side were playing bad. It's just that the offenses were really rocking.
I'll tell you what, Baltimore's defense was playing good until Buffalo made that run at the end.
Yeah.
Like they were up a considerable amount before Buffalo made that comeback.
And Baltimore started to get a lot of dumb penalties on defense that kind of helped Buffalo get back into that game, which is something that John Harbaugh talked about with his guys and basically called them childish and immature and said that was the reason why they lost that game. And I believe him. And I stand on that. Had they not had a lot of bonehead things happen on the defensive side of the ball, they would have walked away with that victory. But, you learn from your mistakes. It's the first week. What it does tell me, though, that I'm impressed about is that the Baltimore offense and Lamar Jackson, we might have to start talking about, is he going to get a third MVP?
Oh, I mean, there's no doubt he's in that conversation.
Yeah, and on top of that, has he actually transitioned into be a pocket passer?
Right, yeah. I mean,
because I know people wanted to not give him that credit, but he's standing in the pocket and throwing it. Now, he still does his Lamar Jackson,
of course,
type of stuff. But he's throwing that ball from the pocket, coach.
Absolutely.
So that was very impressive to see. And I will say this: the first week of the NFL has me excited.
Absolutely,
and from what I said before the season started, was that from the way preseason was looking, if the quarterback play is going to continue to look like this for the course of this season, we're going to be in for some good football, because the quarterback play across the league is looking very, very impressive. Yep. For the most part, on any given night, you're playing against a guy from the quarterback position that can go out there and make some things happen for their team. And that's what you really want to see from the NFL, is that every team has a comparable and effective quarterback that can make games more competitive and something that you can really watch on Sunday. All right,
that was a good wrap up of week 1 there.
Yeah. All right, Coach, do you want to move into our halftime predictions for week 2? But before we do that, I want to remind everybody to please follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Halftime Pod. Remember to click that like button, and always give comments, let us know what's going on, give us your feedback, and just stay in tune with what the Halftime is doing all times, as well as following both me and Coach on our Instagram accounts. You can follow me, Coach Malcolm, at Coach M_got it, and you can follow at Coach Conrad at you can follow Coach Conrad at Coach KDZ. Wow, it became a tongue twister out of nowhere.
I guess so.
Yeah. I also want to remind everybody that the Halftime Shop is open and available for purchases. We have merch available for you. We have water bottles, we have bags, we have hoodies, we have shirts, we have sweatshirts. We even have a dog collar that you can buy for the little pooches out there. So, with that being said, please go to the Halftime Shop. You can find the link in our Instagram bio, and go out there and get you some good halftime merch. We put a lot of thought into our designs and working with good manufacturers for a lot of the products, so you will not be disappointed. All right, Coach, let's move into the halftime predictions really quickly, and let's talk about this week 2 slate of games. It's been a minute since we had a halftime predictions.
Yes, sir. But now we're back in full swing of the NFL season, so we're back for the next 17 weeks.
Ooh, baby, and then not to mention basketball is coming back too, so we're gonna have a little bit of that. All right, let's look at week 2, the slate of games for week 2. And let's kind of look at what we think is going to happen. So, we already know that Green Bay put belt to ass against Washington on Thursday, so that game passed. Jacksonville and Cincinnati. Who you got for that?
Yeah, give me Cincinnati at home.
Cincinnati at home?
Yeah. I think that'll be a closer game than people think, though. Jacksonville is a pretty decent team this year.
Facts. Tennessee and L.A. Let me get my prediction for Cincinnati and Jacksonville. I got Cincinnati. Tennessee and L.A. I'm going to pick the Rams. But a part of me feels like Tennessee could show up that game.
Yeah, give me Tennessee at home. I think Cam Ward balls out in front of that home crowd.
Gotcha. Miami and New England. I got New England. Miami is a dumpster fire right now.
New England needs to bounce back after that week 1 loss as well.
Absolutely.
Drake May needs to play a good game, and that's a perfect tune-up game from them.
Absolutely. All right, Buffalo and the Jets. I'm going to go with the Jets.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not mad at that take. I think
the Jets. I just want to root for Justin.
No, I'm gonna take the Jets in this game too. I think the Buffalo offense will slow down just a little bit. I think the presence of that New York Jets secondary is going to give them problems. Yeah. I think Josh Allen will make mistakes. Yeah. And I think if Justin Fields could be that dual threat quarterback that he was last week, Buffalo will have a very hard time
containing him
like they had against the offense.
Yeah, like they had against Lamar. Baltimore and Cleveland. I got Baltimore.
Baltimore at home. Yeah, just such a tough place to play.
Now, if Baltimore loses this game and they go 0-2, we got some questions.
questions, and there's a lot of complications in that division now because then you got Cleveland at 1-1, and then if Buffalo loses, they're 1-1. Then Baltimore's 0-2. It'd be a tough division.
It'd be interesting. Dallas and New York. I got Dallas bouncing back against New York. Only because I just don't believe in New York at all.
Yeah. Give me Dallas in this game as well. Yeah.
All right, for Chicago and Detroit, remember, to all the halftime community, we still want you guys to give your halftime predictions. So if you got the score right at halftime, you will receive a $50 gift card from the halftime pod. So be sure to upload your videos right before the game, either today or tomorrow, but you just got to have your predictions sent to us. You can send the videos to either me or Coach in our DMs, or you can post your video and just tag the halftime pod in it, so that way we can see it. And then if you have the correct score at halftime between both teams, then you will receive your $50 gift card. But for this game, Coach will say who we think will win, and then we'll also give our halftime score prediction. So I'll go first. I have the Chicago Bears winning this game. I'm going to go with the Bears. And at halftime, I have the score being 10 Bears, 7 Detroit.
Okay, yeah. I've got Chicago winning this game as well. At halftime, I believe the score will be 14-10.
14-10 Chicago?
Yes, 14-10 Chicago.
All right, moving on. San Francisco and New Orleans. I'm not necessarily that interested in this game, but I think New Orleans might pull this one out only because Brock Purdy is still not here.
Yeah, give me give me the 49ers in a Mac Jones masterclass, and I don't think Spencer Rattler is the NFL QB.
I can understand that too. Seahawks and Steelers. I got the Steelers. They're going to go 2-0. I don't see the Seahawks beating the Steelers.
Yeah, give me Pittsburgh at home.
Yeah, and I see DK Metcalf, even though he's saying it's not like a revenge game or anything like that.
Oh, definitely is.
He's gonna have a good game. Indianapolis versus Denver. I think this one could end up being a little bit closer than we anticipate, only because I think Indianapolis looked good because they played against Miami, and I think Bo Nix will try to bounce back from his performance in Week 1. So I'm gonna go with Denver for this game.
Yeah, I'm taking Denver here too. I think that I think the Denver defense will be a little bit too overwhelming for Daniel Jones and company.
Yeah. Carolina and Arizona. This is the battle of the small quarterbacks. I'm going to go with Kyler Murray. I don't believe in Bryce Young. Never believed in Bryce Young. And Carolina is going to quickly have to learn that they cannot believe in. They too cannot believe in Bryce Young either.
Yeah, give me Arizona. Their defense actually surprisingly looked pretty good last week. So give me Arizona in that one.
Now for the game of the week, in my opinion, on Sunday. Not Sunday night, but on Sunday, Kansas City and Philadelphia. Now, Kansas City lost Week 1. Philadelphia pulled out with a victory in Week 1. But I think Kansas City wants a little bit of get back. And I think for me, this is a statement game more for Kansas City than it is for Philadelphia. So I'm going to go with Kansas City to win this game. I think it's going to be a close one, but I guess I got Kansas City pulling this one out.
Yeah, give me the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right. Coach Moo would be happy.
Yeah, I think Saquon's going to run all over that defense, man. I don't think they'll be able to stop that entire offense. And Jalen Hurts is looking like an absolutely incredible quarterback.
He's looking like a monster in Week 1. All right, Sunday night's game is Minnesota and the Falcons. I'm going to take Minnesota. Actually, no, take that back. I'm going to take Atlanta. I think I like Michael Penix more than I like J.J. McCarthy. And I think that's going to make a difference. I think what Minnesota was able to do against Chicago was just, a Cinderella moment for J.J. McCarthy. I don't think that that's going to be something that he's going to continue to do for the rest of this season. And so I'm going to take Michael Penix and the Atlanta Falcons over J.J. McCarthy and the Minnesota Vikings for Sunday night.
Yeah, as much as I'd like to say that I don't think Minnesota's going to bounce back and play a way better game this week, I think they will, especially against an Atlanta defense that isn't necessarily up to par with the rest of the teams in the NFL. I think this is going to be a statement game and be like, wow, like we thought Minnesota was going to be last in the NFC North, and here they are, 2-0, sitting tied for first place with Green Bay.
Kevin O'Connell is looking like the quarterback whisperer. If you want to resurge your career, just go to Minnesota, and Kevin will get you right.
Let's get to that Monday night game.
Monday night game, Houston versus Tampa Bay. The first one of the two. I'm going to go Houston.
And
Only because
there's 2 Monday night games.
yeah, it's 2 Monday night games. I'm gonna go Houston because I'm a bigger fan of CJ Stroud, and I think Houston has a little bit more working on their defensive side of the ball than Tampa Bay does. And so I'm going to give a little bit of the edge to Houston, and I'm going to say it's going to be a game that's decided by a field goal.
Yeah, I'm going Tampa here. I'm not a believer in the Houston Texans team. I think they've been having a lot of struggles since CJ Stroud's rookie year.
Yeah.
I think that whole sophomore year was a slump, and I think this year won't be that much better. So
Gotcha.
Give me Tampa Bay this game.
All right, and then Monday night game, the one that ends Monday night is the Chargers versus Oakland. I got the Chargers. I think Justin Herbert and the Chargers are serious. I think they're real. I think they're going to be a problem in the AFC this season, and I don't think this is a year where we go, the Chargers had a good regular season, but they got to the playoffs and they just kind of burnt out. I think this season the Chargers are here to stay, and they're going to be a problem to deal with for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
so I think this is that game to solidify that.
Yeah, give me the Chargers going 2-0 and also being 2-0 in their division.
Yes.
That's my pick there.
All right, Coach. This has been another great episode of the Halftime Podcast. What episode is this?
This is episode 49.
49, Coach. Our anniversary technically was last week? Well, technically this
it's
week.
Be this upcoming week. The episode count doesn't show it, I believe, but
no,
because we missed a couple of weeks for Christmas and things of that nature. But week 2 of the NFL was where we were last year. So yeah, we're here.
Yeah.
We're here. It's been a whole year.
So do we want to celebrate episode 50 as our official anniversary date to celebrate?
And I think that's when we introduced to the Halftime Community Season 2 of the Halftime Podcast.
Season 2 of the Halftime Podcast, starting on our anniversary episode, which will be episode 50. All right, Coach. Again, I want to remind everybody to follow the Halftime Pod at the Halftime Pod. Please follow, like, and subscribe to our YouTube page. Also, tell everybody else about us and let them know that you're rocking with us, because they too need to be in tune with the best sports coverage on all digital platforms. You can follow me, Coach Malcolm, at Coach M_got it, and you can follow Coach Conrad at Coach KDZ. See, I got it right this time. All right, as always, you know how we rock and roll out. It's C-Red and bear down, baby.